Change is needed. I've seen enough. He's been here for 4 years. He's shown glimpses, but it's best if he moves on. If you can see that I'm growing a beard, it's because I am in mourning of the great club that was the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs finals prospects. They are now almost dead and buried. The Bulldogs season is on life support following the 38-12 dismantling by the Cronulla Sharks of the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs at Magic Round. And the only magic that has happened is the Bulldogs' ability to play shit teams into good form. Nicho Hynes looks like Andrew Johns reincarnated. An absolutely abhorrent performance by the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. 5 losses in a row. I'll say that again. 5 losses in a row. The last time the Bulldogs did that was in 2022 under the dominance of Kyle Flanagan era, where the Bulldogs went on to finish 12th that year. What an accomplishment. In what I hope will be a cathartic video for Bulldogs fans alike, I will break down the Bulldogs' loss to the Sharks. We'll talk about Cameron Ciraldo's comments in the press conference, Bulldogs GM Phil Gould, his accountability in all of this, and whether they might actually be under pressure. Let's start with the game. You know whether your team is going to perform well or not within the first 10 minutes, and the Bulldogs conceded a try within the first 5. They start with good intensity, but then referee calls Jamin Salmon, warns him he's going to be offside. Instead of making the tackle, Jamin Salmon backs off. Jesse Ramien tears through the Bulldogs' guts, gets a quick play of the ball. Nicho Hynes puts the bomb up, and it didn't take long for our first Connor Tracey error of the day. Will Kennedy jumping all over the Bulldogs' custodian. Salmon back in the action, tracking back, but he doesn't clean up the ball, and it's an easy try to Trindle to open the account for the Cronulla Sharks. Not long after, Bailey Hayward actually does some damage out of dummy half with some good momentum. The very next play, Burton throws a pass behind Bronson Xerri. He can't pick it up. It's a knock-on in the Bulldogs' end. How many times have we said that this season? Bulldogs concede off the very next play. Jonathan Sua's head is in Perth. The very start of Jonathan Sua's disaster class, part 1 being last week, part 2 being this week. In absolute no man's land, Ronaldo on return scores a try while Jonathan Sua is tackling clouds. The very next set, Lachlan Galvin, high tackle penalty awarded to the Cronulla Sharks. Coach killer. Jonathan Sua continues his 2-game disaster class with his second error that Stevie Wonder could have spotted. A terrible play of the ball. He even has the embarrassment of challenging his obvious error. And then the Sharks decide they're going to dismantle the right side defence, exposing a gap between Stephen Crichton and Anari Tawala for Will Kennedy to score the Sharks lead 18-0. At this point, we're 25 minutes in. The Bulldogs have already committed 5 errors and have had only 33% possession. You can't win rugby league games with statistics like this, boys. The next try the Bulldogs conceded made my blood boil. Look at the names here. Max King, Leo Thompson. There's 1.2 million of front rowers right there. And Connor Tracey. Allowing the hooker, who I've never heard of, to outpower them and score the most apathetic try of the Bulldogs season. Unacceptable. Jacob Preston, by far the Bulldogs best player, opens the account for the Bulldogs, runs a really great line, bounces the Lachlan Galvin pass off his chest, but he regathers it. Good work, Lachlan Galvin. Good work, Jacob Preston. 24-6. The very next set, what do coaches tell you in under 6s? Don't drop the ball after you score a try. We want to have a good set. What does Jonathan Sua do? Drops the ball. His 3rd error of the game. Disaster class in full effect. Bulldogs give away 2 more 6-agains. Hynes steps through the Bulldogs defense like he's Michael Jackson doing a moonwalk in Madison Square Garden. Easy stuff. Cronulla go up 30-6 at halftime. Oh, and Connor Tracey missed another tackle. How many times have I said that this season? The second half, Lachlan Galvin, nice ball playing. A nice cutout pass to Stephen Crichton, who actually gets early ball, gets one-on-one, draws in the winger, allows Tawala to make a break down the sideline. Crichton in support. Bulldogs open the account for the second half. I want to see more of this. We want to see more of this. Early ball to our centres. The Bulldogs actually managed to keep the Sharks at bay, but then Nicho Hynes puts in a kick, and this is purely desire. Ronaldo wants the ball more than Bronson Xerri, Matt Burton, or Jonathan Sua, or Connor Tracey, and at the end of the day, desire wins. Ronaldo scores a double. Xerri scores late at the end, but it's academic. Bulldogs lose 38-12. 30-6 at halftime, the game was over. And I don't enjoy doing this, but when we do things well, I'll praise it. But when things are not well, this is where you got to point the finger. Jonathan Sua, 4 errors in this game, 2 handling errors. And that's on top of the disaster class he had against the Dolphins last week. He showed promising signs when he came in a grade this year, but now he's proven he shouldn't be in first grade. Connor Tracey, another game where there's multiple errors, a 50% tackle efficiency rate, out of position, missing tackles that lead to tries, simply not good enough. Leo Thompson, unfortunately, seems to look worse with every passing game. He looks unfit and like he's not keeping up with the match speed. 73 metres, not inspiring stuff. I know the Bulldogs didn't have a lot of ball in that first half, but I'm expecting more from a front rower that the Bulldogs paid a lot of cash for. I'm going to give a heap of credit to two players, Jacob Preston and Lachlan Galvin. Jacob Preston, for me, is a future Bulldogs captain. He can't leave at any cost. The Bulldogs must keep Jacob Preston if their lives depend on it. What a player. Lachlan Galvin, there are a few misplaced passes, balls hit in the ground, and I accept all of that. He's doing some bad things at the moment. I think that's coming from the erratic nature of being 20 years of age. He bombed a try, but you know what? He's been thrown into a furnace by Cameron Ciraldo and Phil Gould, who we're going to talk to in just a moment. But he absolutely tries his guts out. He runs hard every week. It doesn't always come off, but he's always involved in any points the Bulldogs do score. Lachlan Galvin's involved, whether that be a line break or a try himself. He is trying. He gets a line break, and assist, and a try assist today, and I can't help but wonder what he would do next to a genuine number 7. And this is where we talk about Matt Burton. For Matt Burton, the Bulldogs number 6, it's taken 11 rounds and we finally got to see the Burton bomb in full effect. But unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, that is the only lethal weapon that he has. Change is needed. I've seen enough. He's been here for 4 years, on nearly $1 million a year. Lachlan Galvin's the one that gets all the criticism, but I want to highlight a few things here. Matt Burton had 4 try assists in 2025. Matt Burton is 26 years of age. Matt Burton is one of the highest paid players in this Bulldogs team and is a former captain of this club. I know Lachlan Galvin wears the number 7. Let's be a little bit more sophisticated. Don't worry about the number on the back. I think we'd all agree Darren Lockyer was the game manager for the Brisbane Broncos, even though he wore the number 6. But when I look at Lachlan Galvin and Matt Burton, this team is crying out for a game manager and everyone's heaping the blame on Lachlan Galvin. I would think that the 26-year-old $1 million player who's got over 100 NRL games under who's won a premiership, who demands to be the number 6, I would think that player would want to, 1, take the responsibility, and 2, demonstrate the leadership required when the team is clearly demanding for someone to take control. It's Matt Burton's passing that lets the left side down. Bronson Xerri might as well seek support from UNICEF, because as far as I'm concerned, he's being starved of quality ball. And it's Matt Burton's inability to create, inability to identify overlaps or throw cutout balls that is killing the Bulldogs' attack. I tell you this, if Lachlan Galvin was playing on the left and you had Toby Sexton or another genuine number 7 next to him on the right, do you think we'd see more from Lachlan Galvin, yes or no? I think we all know the answer. He's only got 5 try assists to start this year. He's now in contract negotiations. If you're the Bulldogs, in all seriousness, thank you Matt Burton for his service. Nothing personal, he's a good player. But you know what? It's time to cut your losses. Bailey Hayward, some good moments today, but overall, let's admit it, he wasn't an upgrade on Reid Marnie. He's a downgrade. And again, I don't blame him for that. He is a bona fide Bulldog. There is a place for Bailey Hayward in a successful Bulldog side, and that would be as a number 13 or as a utility player coming off the bench, backing up the halves. He is not a number 9, and once again, another player that the hierarchy have hung out to dry. Connor Tracey? And once again, we have to be here talking about Cameron Ciraldo and Phil Gould. Let's start with the coach. Comes out in the press conference, says some of the things we're doing in the first half unacceptable, says that the Bulldogs are doing the right things in training, and because of that, it'll turn around. Mate, it's not going to turn around by doing well in training. What that says is these players can't handle pressure. They're lower confidence, and you need to make some serious changes. As Albert Einstein once said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. From one of the smartest men to ever live, Cameron Ciraldo, I suggest you take some of that advice. The appointment of Adam O'Brien. Who is responsible for this? We need to talk about Phil Gould. And I know I've come on here over the last few weeks, but I need to highlight this because someone is ultimately responsible for some of the decisions that have been made over the past 12 months. And the way I look at it is this. Phil Gould appointed Cameron Ciraldo. Phil Gould would have the final say in whether Adam O'Brien is the assistant coach or not. Phil Gould would be deciding whether Lachlan Galvin is worth $750,000 a year, whether Matt Burton is worth $1 million a year, and whether Stephen Crichton is worth $1 million a year. The same Phil Gould, by the way, who is on 100% Footy, who has his own podcast, so he's on 2 hours of television every week and fails to answer any questions or field any questions about the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs performance. Where is the leadership? Where is the accountability? Where is the voice that is telling us where this club is going? now and into the next few years, because as far as I can see, the Bulldogs are in a free fall that is not going to get solved this year. In fact, without some serious personnel changes, the Bulldogs might be on a downward spiral. The Dragons, for all their comedic efforts this year, are going to boast players like Luke Metcalf, Connor Watson being announced today, Scott Drinkwater. Not only do they have a strong spine coming, they've got depth to their spine. Meanwhile, the Bulldogs' spine is broken. Leo Thompson signs on big money, doesn't look like a good signing in hindsight. We'll give him some time, of course, but this Bulldogs side just looks broken. And I think we need to look beyond the coach here. I don't think Cameron Ciraldo has the answers. That's what that press conference told me. I don't think he's got the confidence and maybe even the personnel to make the changes that this side needs. But Phil Gould is the one, he is the GM of football. If we don't have fullbacks and we don't have halves in the New South Wales Cup or in the lower grades, then what are you doing in terms of pathways strategy? The 10-year-olds getting development in playmaking. What are you doing to make sure that your halves, your fullback, your hookers in Harold Matthews, SG Ball, under 20s, New South Wales Cup, what are you doing to make sure that their skills are honed and that they are given the best chance to succeed in first grade? On a positive note, Jack Underhill made his debut yesterday. Congratulations to Jack Underhill, a long overdue debut, and I really hope it's a long stay in first grade for him. Phil, the silence is deafening. For the Bulldogs to make the top 8, they need to win 10 of their last 14 games, at least. And even then, there's no guarantee of anything. For a side that was first at this time last year, there needs to be accountability for this level of performance that we are seeing, both on the field in terms of the product, but off the field in terms of recruitment, retention, and the amount of salary cap that is being devoted to underperforming players. There's my rant. Enjoy your magic round. I'm sorry I can't be more positive. It's gut-wrenching, but the Bulldog season is definitely on life support. At least we're in it together. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your rugby league and get out of here.